All right, welcome into the NFL War Room Podcast. I'm your host, Matt Stopsky, and joined today by my dog, Lexi, who is exhausted and wants to be done with this day. Dude, this Monday was long, man. I was on the radio with Alex Marvez, behind the scenes producing on Late Hits, and he mentioned a few times that this was just the busiest day in the NFL that he could remember, and honestly, I couldn't either. It seemed like this was a massive first day tampering period, biggest I've ever seen. Players were flying off the board at a lightning quick. I was taking notes for Eric and Thomas for their Sumer free agency show, and every minute I was updating it. More stuff. It was crazy. So after a full day of all that, we're going to talk about a little bit what happened. I'm not going to go to all the moves because it would take much longer than 30 minutes to do. It would take a full day. So I wanted to focus on some teams for today. We'll do more teams tomorrow, but for right now, just these teams. And I think we're going to start first, with my New York Giants. So we're going to use Madden here as the template for the graphics because it's just easier to do that. And also I think most people, when they get introduced to team building, do it via Madden. That's how I was. That's how most people are. If you read the PFF book by Matthew Collier, Football's a Numbers Game, a lot of guys that started that way, it's like just looking for information on players because they were just crazy Madden players who just wanted to have build the proper team, the right team, and who plays in the slot, who plays in the nickel, and Steve Palazzolo, Mike Renner are the ones that I mentioned in the book. But it was that's also how I started. So for the offense of the Giants, Saquon Barkley's gone. A lot of fighting between Saquon Barkley and Tiki Barber. I was listening to that show as it was happening. I think a lot of it was taken out of context. Tiki's a pretty, honestly, one of the nicest guys I've met in media. I had a chance to work with him a bunch at CBS. He's a good dude. He really is. And Saquon taking offense to that, it seemed a little soft. But I get it. I'm sure Saquon got a lot of hate today. But I will say, he was awesome. Saquon. He was a great New York Giant. He was awesome while he was here. He represented the team well. I wish him nothing but the best outside of the times he plays us, and I hope he never wins a division championship. Besides that, I hope he does well. But we replaced him with Devin Singletary. Devin's a solid back. Is he Saquon level good? No, but I don't think you have to be in the NFL. I will say they definitely need another back, but having Devin Singletary as your lead back is good. The other players they added, John Runyon. So this is wrong because it's Madden. Jermaine Luminor is not going to start right tackle. It'll be Evan Neal. But Jermaine Luminor now is a very good backup for Andrew Thomas and Evan Neal. Also gives a shot of do you want to play Neal at guard? Do you move Luminor into guard? I don't know if Luminor's ever played guard, actually. I should have looked it up. Again, I literally just finished work. So let's take a look. I don't think Luminor's played guard before. He has. He's played right guard in his career. No, he's played almost exclusively tackle, mostly right tackle, but he has played guard. He did in Vegas in 2021. So there's a chance that you move Luminor inside, and it's Thomas, Luminor, Sean Michael Schmitz, Runyon, Neal. And the question really becomes, does signing John Runyon from Green Bay and Luminor stop you from taking Joe Alt at pick 6? In a vacuum, no, right? Because I think Joe Alt is better than any of these players not named Andrew Thomas. However, if it's Joe Alt versus Malik Neighbors, Joe Alt versus Marvin Harrison, Joe Alt versus Romanudze, then I probably do pass and I go for a receiver. Look at these receivers right now. It's Darius Slayton, Wanda Robinson, Jalen Hyatt. Hodgins is not back yet. He's a restricted free agent. So it's a light core. Now, we do like Robinson, we do like Slayton, we do like Hyatt, but we need more weapons. Darren Waller, we're still not sure Darren Waller is coming back. He might retire. And Daniel Bellinger took a big step back last year. So I would love to see him come back. I think Waller is a great piece, but as of right now, we don't know what's going to happen there. And on the defensive side, a little bit of a rough day in terms of defensive backs. We lose Xavier McKinney, so now it's Jason Pinnock and Owens as the safeties. And then defensive tackles is rough, right? We have Dexter Lawrence, and it's a 3-4. They're never going to run a 3-4, or they do, but it's mostly 2 interior, 2 edge, 2 linebacker, 3 corners, 2 safeties, right? So Deontay Banks, Cordell Flott, whoever I guess Trey Hawkins on the outside, Flott on the inside, but they need more corner help. And that's going to be addressed. I don't know if they roll in with Pinnock and Owens at safety. Pinnock, yes. Owens probably not. They will have. I think they do like Nacho, and Nacho was really good last year. But I'm sure they're going to add somebody to pair with Dexter Lawrence. The big move, trading for Brian Burns, incredible move. Now you have Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau. And one thing that I saw early in the year with Kayvon was teams were putting 2 tight ends to his side. Now they weren't blocking him with both, but they were stretching him out so far that in order for him to get to the play or get to the quarterback, he had to run this crazy angle and amount of space. You cannot do that anymore with Brian Burns on the other side. So Thibodeau's going to I expect him to have a good year next year. All of a sudden, this defensive line looks pretty impressive when you look at it that way, where it's Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, Nacho, Azeez Ojulari as rotational guy. Probably need one more D tackle, and then the linebackers, Okereke, McFadden. They definitely need to add another linebacker. But from day one, this is a pretty good defensive unit. Said I still think, for free agency, as we go later into free agency, D tackle depth, linebacker depth, edge is probably okay. Could use on the starting corner, could use on the starting free safety, and then going back to offense. Receiver would be nice. I don't think they're going to add one free agency. I think it's going to be more of a draft. Tight end is probably fine. Honestly, I think for the offensive side, they're probably done signing big name guys, and maybe a few depth people here and there. On to the New York Jets. Let's go with their offense. All right, so the New York Jets. Who are they at again? Right now, the New York Jets, man, that tackle group is I love Austin Deckles. I had him as a player at the combine. He's an awesome dude. But they definitely can't roll in with this offensive line right now. Max Mitchell probably would be one of the starting tackles over Deckles or Warren. But this is not offensive line you want to roll in with. Alan Lazard's definitely not going to start. It'd be Xavier Gibson or over him. But this is a rough group. Now, David Bakhtiari gets released. David Bakhtiari will probably end up being a starting tackle for the Jets. The question is, can he stay healthy? Marcus Whitman, or that franchise guy, did a stream today, and he talked about how, when he's on the field, he kind of views Bakhtiari as like a Trent Williams type deal where, the Commanders gave up on Trent. He goes to San Fran, and 5 years later is still one of the best tackles, if not the best tackle in the game. I don't know if that happens for David Bakhtiari, but I do think if he can stay healthy, he's still a top 5 left tackle in this game, and would be an instant upgrade for the Jets. But the Jets definitely need to add another offensive lineman, whether here in the draft. I would say probably you want to say at least one more depth guy, unless you're okay running out Max Mitchell as your right tackle. But it's crazy. I'm not sure if you guys can hear my dog snoring in the background. It's late right now, but it's a hard knock life for her, man. On the defensive side, they lose Bryce Huff, which is rough. D tackle wise, they're super light. I don't even think these tackles are actually even on the team. I just think that because with Madden, like you need placeholders. I think these are just placeholders. So right now they need. Actually, they don't, because breaking news: Javon Kinlaw just got signed by the Jets. So right now it's Franklin Myers, Jermaine Johnson, Quinn Williams, Javon Kinlaw. A lot of big names, a lot of good talent. We'll see. And we'll see Will McDonald there, who didn't play a ton last year. So we'll see what happens with that. The defensive line actually looks pretty good. For the linebackers, CJ Mosley, Quincy Williams, you're fine there. For the corners, Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, Michael Carter II, Isaiah Oliver they got from the Niners. That's pretty solid. And then for the safeties, Adams and Clark, they're not world enders, but that's not a terrible unit, honestly. The defense for the Jets look pretty good. Where I think they need to add some more, honestly, the thing is, like, Franklin Myers is a solid player, and so is Jermaine Johnson. I think they just need time, another year. I really think it's just the offensive line for the Jets. That's really the thing. As in, the Jets be projected for 12 wins last year before Aaron got hurt. This is not a team that was that far off. Now, I think some offensive line help, and we're looking at a pretty solid team. Over to the Atlanta Falcons that made a huge splash today. Huge splash getting Kirk Cousins, where we kind of expect him to go. I expect my former colleague and my buddy Zach Robinson to cook with this team, man. Kirk Cousins and Matt Stafford a lot alike, and Zach loved working with Matt Stafford. I expect he'll do the same thing with Kirk Cousins. You already have Bijan Robinson there, Tyler Algier, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, but things about after Drake London, no receivers right now, so that has to be added. But their line is solid. This line is good. Like, you don't really need to add anything else to this offensive line, but another receiver would be big. And now you have Kirk Cousins at 8. You can sit there, right? Rome Odunze is now on the board for 8. So I think that's definitely an opportunity. And we look on the other side of the ball. Yes, Dallas Turner is still an option, right? Because edge rusher could be an upgrade. D tackles are fine with Garrett Onyemata. For corners, you're good with Terrell and Alford and Hughes. Safety wise, Jesse Bates is the best safety in the league right now. Richie Grant is solid. Linebacker is set. So yeah, you're really looking at is edge rusher or receiver. But I think with Kirk Cousins, you only get a few years of Kirk Cousins. Now, I know Thomas Dimitroff was talking about, trading up, get Jane Daniels or get McCarthy, and you have someone go behind Kirk to learn for a couple of years. And while I definitely agree with that, I think you have another year of Kirk Cousins after this year. I don't know if we need to. I think right now you get Rome Odunze. And then in 2025, that's when you add your quarterback. I don't know if he'd be 2 years early. And it kind of planned out more like Mahomes than Jordan Love. But who am I to tell the 2-time executive of the year that he's wrong? Because he's not. He's Thomas Dimitroff. He's one of the smartest men in football ever. That's what I would do as someone with 0 years of being a GM or having any executive of the year awards. On to the Super Bowl champion Chiefs. The Chiefs didn't make any real splashes. I don't think they actually did anything outside of keeping the best player in free agency, which is Chris Jones, right? So that's the best thing. You look at his offensive line right now. Donovan Smith is not back yet, but they could walk out with Wanya Moore or something, and they'd be all right. This line is still pretty solid. They need receiver help. I know Darnell Mooney is in conversations with them. I think Rice, Darnell Mooney, Tony will probably get cut. Sky Moore, Justin Watson, looking at a pretty solid group there. If that's the case, onto the defense, Chris Jones makes the whole thing work. You have Karlaftis, Amenahue, and then for the linebackers, Drew Tranquil, Nick Bolton, Leo Chenell. For the corners, it's the same, right? Watson, Snead, McDuffie, and then the safeties with Cook and Reed. So, the Chiefs really didn't get any better, but they were already the Super Bowl champions. Like, how much better can they get? I think for them, it's just adding a receiver. That is it right now. On to the Raiders. The Raiders made some splashes today. They get Gardner Minshew, which I love Gardner Minshew. I think he's going to fit in well at Vegas. But this also, I think, puts them in line that they're going to grab a quarterback. Right now, they have Gardner, so they don't have to rush a quarterback. And because if you draft Bo Nix or JJ McCarthy and have him go one-on-one against Aiden O'Connell, they're going to beat Aiden O'Connell, and you're going to be forced to play them. Gardner Minshew will beat these guys out at least for a year so they could sit. And he brings enough swagger, and he can work with Devontae Adams and Jacoby Myers, without a doubt, and Hunter Renfrow. Although I think Hunter will probably end up getting cut. We'll see what Michael Mayer does next year. That'll be kind of big. This offensive line is really where it needs to work, right? They have Colton Miller still. They re-signed Andre James. Now they need to get some more offensive linemen. The offensive line is a little shaky. On the defensive side, they have Max Crosby. They have Tyree Wilson. They have Kuntz. They just add Christian Wilkins from Miami. It's a huge add. That defensive line is very good now. In terms of linebackers, they're set. I'm not worried about any of these linebackers. I would. I'm not sure. I would not. Let me. Oh yeah, that's fine. These linebackers are good. Besides that, Nate Hobbs, Jones, Nick Pike is another corner, but it's not terrible. Safeties are okay. For me, for the Raiders, it's just at this point they did a good job building up that defense. Now it's just you need to shore up the offensive line. Over to Baltimore. I think this is the last team we're doing today. Baltimore. There's talks about King Henry joining this team, which is, man, Lamar Jackson and King Henry. Like, can we stop? Can we stop? They re-signed Aguilar. So their receiving group is okay. Aguilar, Bateman, and Flowers, I think, is fine enough. Andrews and Likely are solid. Their interior offensive line needs help. So that's definitely a spot where they could look to improve. On the defense, they re-signed Justin Matabuki. That was the biggest thing. Sometimes in free agency, it's not about who you add, it's just who you keep, right? Like keeping Justin Matabuki, that's huge. Right now, their linebacking core, even with that Patrick Queen, is very good because Roquan Smith is amazing. And their core situation is still very good. Their secondary is very good. So if I'm Baltimore, I'm looking pretty good at this. So I do wonder. Let me take a look at what I had in the mock draft that I posted this morning, and look at these teams real quick and see, if anything I think changes. Right. So with Baltimore, I picked 30 was Adonai Mitchell from Texas. I would say that's still possible, although now I'm thinking maybe more along the lines of an offensive lineman, right? Not that Adonai Mitchell wouldn't be a great ad, it would be, but with Flowers, Bateman, and Aguilar there right now, with the re-signing of Aguilar kind of sets it off that you're probably okay to wait another round. I think you need to address this offensive line first. With Baltimore, now that we're 1 day into free agency. With Vegas picking at pick 13, we had them for Byron Murphy II. Now that is absolutely not happening because you have Wilkins. Now, granted, yes, could you use a D tackle? Yeah, of course you can. But I'm also not totally sure that I wouldn't move Tyree Wilson inside. But I don't, definitely not that anymore. Now it's going to be an offensive lineman. So for me, I'm thinking the next alignment off the board was Troy Fontanu. Sorry, geez, I can't speak right now. It's late. From Washington, that would probably be my pick now. Moving up, and going back to Baltimore, Graham Barton from Duke would probably be the guy that gets moved up. For Kansas City, nothing really changed for Kansas City. I think Xavier Worthy would still be my pick. Well, maybe, now that Donnie Mitchell gets passed over by Baltimore, maybe it's a Donnie Mitchell, but I think it's going to be one of the Texas receivers right now. I'm going to continue to mock to Kansas City. For Atlanta was Dallas Turner. Dallas Turner is probably still the guy. But no, I take that back. Rome Odunze is, if I had to pick, Rome Odunze, I think, is the guy now at pick 8. For the New York Jets at pick 10, nothing changes. The tackle from Oregon State, Fuanga, I think, is still the pick. And for the New York Giants, we had Joe Alt. Joe Alt, I think, is no longer the pick. And on the mock drafting this morning, it was Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, and then Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors. So at pick 6, it was Alt versus Odunze. At this point, I would say it's Rome Odunze. I think because it's not going to be, if you're not taking Alt, you're not taking any offensive lineman. And at this point, why would you take Dallas Turner, right? You already have Burns and Kayvon. So I do think it's Rome Odunze is now the pick. Although it does open us up to the possibility that maybe it's JJ McCarthy at pick 6 or Bo Nix, which I've heard both from people, not inside the New York Giants. So I'm hoping it's Rome Odunze. I like Rome a lot. So we will see. I will post a new mock draft on Monday, and we'll do another round of what we just did right now. I'll update the Giants and the Jets every single day because they're the local teams, and they're obviously, I was a New York Giant fan growing up. I worked for the New York Giants, so I love the New York Giants. But the Jets, I have a lot of friends that are Jet fans because I live on Long Island, so a lot of Jet fans. I'll continue to update them, and then we'll do other teams that we didn't do today. I also am going to talk. I want to bring in somebody to talk offensive line, but for the draft. But honestly, I haven't had real chance to watch because today was so fucking nuts. I did not think it'd be this busy. So I will bring somebody on tomorrow. I'll bring someone on tomorrow, which is Tuesday, to record for Wednesday to talk some offensive line, the draft. Which honestly, after looking at these guys, is going to be very important because right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 offensive linemen going in the first round. I think that's probably fair. If not, maybe it's going up. So having someone on the top offensive line would be the right move. I need to figure out who that's going to be. I have to reach out to some people. But one thing I am very excited about, on Friday at 7 p.m. on SiriusXM channel 88, Eric Eager, Thomas Dimitroff will be joined by former offensive lineman Jeff Schwartz to talk about offensive linemen. That study that Eric and him wrote together for the Sloan Analytics Conference. And also Eric and Thomas will be talking about offensive line in the draft. So there'll be plenty of old line talk for the next 3 to 4 days. I know this one's a little short today, but it's been a crazy day, and honestly, it's all right. It's not each one needs to be 30 to 40 minutes. We can do a 25-minute one occasionally, right? Yeah, you guys got it. It's fine. But until then, and my sleeping dog Lexi, I am Matt Stopsky, the NFL Warren Podcast. I'll see you all tomorrow.